What if the most admired couple in Hollywood wasn't living a fairy tale, but quietly surviving a storm no one saw coming? Behind every dazzling red carpet photo and whispered royal connection, a secret unraveling was underway. A single interview sparked a chain reaction that shattered trust, shook friendships, and forced one of the world's most powerful women to make an unthinkable choice. How did everything spiral so fast? Why is no one talking about the real reason behind it all? What you're about to hear will change how you see George and Amal Clooney forever. George's love life has always been front-page news. The man whose smirk could charm any red carpet once dated some of the most glamorous women in the world: Italian actress Elisabetta Canales, model Lisa Snowden, and WWE star-turned-Hollywood actress Stacy Keibler. With Stacy, George lit up the entertainment world, the two seeming inseparable as they floated from gala to gala, projecting power, elegance, and passion. But even picture-perfect couples have private fractures. Their spark faded, the romance dissolved, and George drifted back to his familiar solitude. Everyone figured he'd return to the solo lifestyle that had defined him for decades. That's why Amal's entrance into his life was a moment no one expected. And now, that very relationship might be the one unraveling. What changed behind closed doors? What happened to the couple who seemed to have it all? Brains, beauty, and a bond that seemed unbreakable. Long before Amal, George had already walked down the aisle once. For the fame, before the Oscars, he had given his heart to Talia Balsam. It wasn't just a fleeting Hollywood fling, it was his first real attempt at forever. They met in 1984 in a humble community theater production. George was just starting out. Talia was the daughter of acting royalty, Martin Balsam and Joyce Van Patten, and their chemistry was instant. She became his grounding force during his early Hollywood years. Love in Tinseltown often comes at a cost. By 1989, they had eloped in Las Vegas. Young, idealistic, and head over heels. They believed love was enough, but life came fast. As George tried to break into the industry, the weight of failure and ambition began to press down. The romance, once so intense, turned sour. Their marriage unraveled within 3 years, leaving George with emotional scars that would last decades. Looking back, he admitted the failure was his. He wasn't ready. He couldn't offer Talia what she deserved. And just like that, George Clooney became the face of bachelorhood. Refined, charming, unattached. He used to joke about it. Marriage? Knows. I've tried it once, he told People in 2006. He spoke candidly, admitting he wasn't built for it. That same reluctance extended to fatherhood. I've never felt like I had to do that, he once quipped. Behind those light-hearted comments, though, was a man deeply marked by the past. A man cautious about commitment, aware of the pain it could bring. Then Amal arrived, a woman who could stop time not with glamour, but with intellect. She was nothing like his past partners, an international human rights lawyer, not an actress or model. Amal brought a presence that wasn't defined by the red carpet, but by courtrooms in The Hague and London. Her resume reads like a political thriller, defending Julian Assange, representing Mohammed Fahmy, advocating for vulnerable voices across continents. The world hailed her brilliance. George found something else in her too: balance, brilliance, and a break from Hollywood superficiality. Fairy tales don't always last, and recently a ripple of quiet concern has started to surface. Behind the smiles, sources close to the couple have hinted at emotional distance, conflicting career pressures, and time spent apart. Their marriage, once a beacon of sophistication, may now be standing on shaky ground. George Clooney isn't just a movie star. He's a mogul. With an estimated net worth of over $500 million, his empire stretches far beyond the box office. The bulk of that wealth came from an unexpected source. Tequila. 2013, Clooney co-founded Casamigos with Rande Gerber and Mike Meldman, initially as a private label for friends. Just 4 years later, they sold it to Diageo for a staggering $1 billion. That deal alone redefined his financial future. And then there's the lifestyle. George owns multiple properties, including a stunning 18th-century villa on Lake Como, Villa Oleandra, worth an estimated $100 million. In Los Angeles, he's got a mansion in Studio City. And in the UK, he and Amal share a multi-million-dollar estate in Berkshire. The couple is also rumored to hold a vacation home in Provence, and real estate interests in Manhattan. When it comes to cars, George is a mix of classic and contemporary. He's been spotted in his vintage Chevrolet Corvette V8 and is known to enjoy the luxury of a Tesla Model S. He also owned a Porsche 911 and a Lexus LS. His timepieces are equally iconic. Ambassador for Omega, and often wears the Omega Speedmaster and Seamaster collections, timeless symbols of elegance. But Clooney's fortune hasn't just gone into luxury. He's smart about protection too. Insiders reveal that George has invested heavily in insurance, personal, property, and even career-specific policies. When filming high-risk scenes, he's had coverage clauses to protect against delays and injury. Amal, too, maintains extensive professional liability and legal practice insurance. Together, they've built not just a glamorous life, but one with strategic safeguards. There's a lesson here. George Clooney didn't stumble into wealth. He built it through diversification. From real estate to spirits to smart branding deals, he showed that your celebrity isn't just a spotlight, it's a launchpad. And even now, with possible turbulence at home, he remains a symbol of evolution, learning from past regrets, and building a legacy not just of films, but of financial intelligence. But what really tore at the seams of George and Amal's marriage? Was it the clash between Hollywood and global diplomacy, the endless travel, the grueling schedules, or simply the fact that even the strongest personalities can grow apart? One thing is clear. The truth may be far more human than the headlines suggest. Few know that Amal Clooney didn't just walk into the spotlight. She conquered it with brilliance. Her journey began in the hallowed halls of Oxford and later at New York University, where she earned a degree in law and was honored with prestigious awards, recognizing her unmatched work in international justice. From the courtroom to war-torn countries, Amal has become a beacon of truth, fearlessly defending human rights. At the same time, George Clooney, once known for his heartthrob status and charismatic bachelor image, gradually transformed into a socially conscious figure whose humanitarian mission now runs just as deep as his cinematic legacy. Their paths might have seemed unlikely to cross, but when they did, it wasn't just spark. It was a collision of two galaxies. And what followed? A romance that rewrote the rules of Hollywood love stories. Together in 2016, they co-founded the Clooney Foundation for Justice, signaling to the world that their partnership wasn't just about glitz. It was about change. But for all the passion and purpose, there was a time when it almost didn't happen. Let's rewind to the moment that could have cost George Clooney the love of his life, a proposal that didn't quite go to plan. Picture this: a meticulously prepared evening, classic jazz softly playing, and a hidden engagement ring waiting to surprise Amal at just the right moment. George had even picked his late Aunt Rosemary Clooney's song, "Why Shouldn't I?" for the perfect romantic backdrop. But Amal, jet-lagged from a long business trip, unknowingly derailed the entire setup by suggesting takeout over George's home-cooked dinner. Still, George stuck to the plan. When the song began, he asked her to open a drawer for a lighter, hoping she'd find the ring. Instead, she glanced at it, assumed it belonged to someone else, and moved on. Cue an awkward silence, and a missed cue that would make any rom-com director wince. George eventually dropped to one knee, nerves firing, heart pounding, and Amal, caught completely off guard, froze. No immediate yes. Just "oh my God" over and over again. Minutes passed. The carefully curated song faded, replaced by "Goody Goody," a hilariously mismatched tune for a marriage proposal. At that point, George broke the tension. "I'm 52 years old. I might dislocate a hip," he joked, desperate to end the suspense. Amal burst out laughing, and finally the answer came: yes. That simple word marked the beginning of a journey filled with transformation, from iconic bachelor to devoted husband and father. They skipped the over-the-top Hollywood engagement party and instead hosted an elegant wedding in Venice, surrounded by close friends and family. But the fairy tale didn't end there. It only began to unfold. Relationship has since become a beacon of balance between career, family, and public scrutiny. George juggles acting and directing projects, while Amal defends victims of human rights violations in global courts. Despite the 4,000-mile stretch that often separates them, George on a set in New York, Amal in a courtroom in London, they maintain a deep connection. FaceTime is their lifeline, but their emotional tether goes beyond technology. "We try not to be apart too long," George once said, revealing a tenderness that underscores their bond. Yet even the most powerful couples need refuge. For the Clooneys, that sanctuary is Domaine du Canadel in Provence, France, an 18th-century estate nestled on a sprawling 425-acre vineyard, valued at over $8.3 million. The property features a swimming pool, tennis court, ornamental lake, and its own olive grove. More than just luxury, this estate represents security, peace, and a place for their twins, Ella and Alexander, to grow up away from paparazzi lenses. George has made it clear, "I don't want my kids' images made public." And for good reason. With Amal's work involving dangerous regimes and George's outspokenness on global conflicts, privacy isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. During the pandemic, when their son's asthma became a major concern, George paused directing long-term projects and stayed home, adjusted his career to prioritize his family, revealing yet another layer of his evolution. Real estate empire isn't limited to France. The couple owns a massive villa in Lake Como, Italy, Villa Oleandra, a 30-room mansion worth approximately $100 million, purchased in 2002, complete with a private dock, luxurious gardens, and panoramic lake views. It's often their escape during the summer. In Los Angeles, they maintain a stunning Studio City estate, valued at over $14 million, located in a gated neighborhood and fortified with privacy features. Each property they own isn't just extravagant. It's curated for both beauty and discretion. And when it comes to transportation, the Clooneys don't just travel, they glide. George owns a Gulfstream G450 private jet, valued around $43 million, offering the couple the ability to jump between continents with ease. Car collection includes a Porsche 911 GT3 RS, valued over $200,000, sleek Tesla Model S, and a classic Chevrolet Corvette V8, homage to George's late father. Amal, known for her refined taste, is often seen in a Range Rover autobiography, a vehicle that perfectly balances elegance with security. Luxury seeps into their accessories too. George is a known watch connoisseur and has been spotted wearing the Omega de Ville Trésor and the Speedmaster Moonwatch, pieces that reflect classic masculinity and start at $6,000. Amal favors Cartier timepieces and has been seen with the Tank Française, a symbol of her effortless sophistication. Behind these symbols of success lies a carefully constructed financial empire. George Clooney's current net worth is estimated at over $500 million, a staggering leap from the $500,000 he was reportedly worth in the early 1990s. The turning point? $40 million salary for Ocean's 11 and the $1 billion sale of his tequila brand, Casamigos, in 2017. Though he split the earnings with partners, his share alone rocketed his wealth. He continues to invest wisely, from real estate to tech startups and philanthropic ventures. Amal, while not in the entertainment industry, has built an impressive financial profile of her own, reportedly worth $50 million. Her income stems from high-profile legal cases, academic positions at Columbia and NYU, and consulting with global institutions. Together, their combined net worth is projected to cross $1 billion by 2030, especially as George continues to expand his behind-the-scenes influence in Hollywood, and Amal cements her legacy as a human rights titan. What's equally fascinating is how they protect that fortune. George and Amal reportedly carry multiple insurance policies: career liability insurance, personal property coverage for their estates and luxury items, and even specific security policies tied to potential geopolitical threats due to Amal's legal work. Our financial advisors have crafted a framework that doesn't just preserve wealth, shields it against real-world dangers. Their story continues to inspire, not just for the glamour or the power, but for the clarity of purpose. From Amal's battlefields of justice to George's legacy of reinvention, their journey proves that love and ambition can walk hand in hand. They don't just attend galas and grace covers. They lead missions, fight for rights, raise children, and redefine what Hollywood couples can aspire to. started with a revelation that sent shockwaves far beyond royal palaces. In a rare, intimate interview, George spoke openly about his private conversations with Prince Harry, revealing that the prince once confided in him about the suffocating weight of royal life. It might have seemed innocent. For Amal, it was a breach of trust that cut deep. A celebrated human rights lawyer who built her career on confidentiality and integrity, Amal saw George's openness as more than carelessness. It was betrayal. For the first time, her husband's charisma became a liability. Her inner circle was shaken. The couple, long admired for their tight-knit bond, now faced an invisible wall. Amal wasn't just upset with George's disclosure, she was terrified. Not only had he exposed a friend's vulnerability, but he'd also cracked open a door that invited the media into their sacred, protected space. For Amal, the threat wasn't just theoretical, it was personal. Her twins, Ella and Alexander, were now growing up in a world where a single misstep could ignite a media firestorm. George, always the polished public figure, had a harsh realization. The very thing that once made him beloved, his openness, his charm, his easy relationship with the press, had now endangered what mattered most. Amal didn't wait for him to get the message. She gave him an ultimatum: protect this family or risk losing it. For a man who had always found comfort under the spotlight, it was a wake-up call. Fame and privacy had finally collided, and the cost was his marriage. The decision to step back was brutal, but necessary. George started declining interviews, tightened the circle around his family. He even sold off certain media rights connected to his projects, quietly reshuffling his priorities. But it wasn't enough. Amal had already reached her limit. Her final decision stunned the world. She left. Just like that, the Clooneys became another Hollywood cautionary tale. But the story doesn't end with heartbreak. It deepens with insight. George Clooney's path to this moment was paved with staggering highs. His net worth, which hovered around $500 million thanks to acting, producing, and his tequila brand, Casamigos, had made him a titan of the entertainment industry. The 2017 sale of Casamigos alone reportedly earned him $240 million before taxes. He owns a sprawling estate on Lake Como, a multi-million-dollar villa in Los Angeles, a countryside mansion in Berkshire, England, and a chateau in Provence, France. The total real estate value of his empire, estimated to exceed $120 million. His luxury lifestyle doesn't stop at properties. George has long been known for his classic car collection, including a $1.4 million Porsche 911 GT2 RS and a series of vintage Corvettes. His wrist, often sporting an Omega Speedmaster or a limited edition Tag Heuer. And then there's the private jet travel. Gulfstream G450s, shared access on Bombardier Globals, symbols of a life spent above the clouds. But even with such wealth, George knew money couldn't repair what was lost at home. Behind the glamour was always strategy. Clooney invested smartly. Besides Casamigos, he's backed satellite company Aura and holds equity in multiple production firms. He's diversified far beyond Hollywood. He also made strategic use of insurance, from health and liability to asset protection, especially after he suffered serious injuries in a 2018 motorbike crash in Italy. Financially, he's bulletproof. Emotionally, not so much. Here's a brutal truth: no amount of wealth insulates you from loss. George faced a cold mirror, realization that everything he built could not compensate for a fading emotional connection. Age only magnified that fear. At 63, he saw Amal, 46, still glowing with purpose and ambition. While he slowed down, she only soared. The man who once epitomized confidence now found himself riddled with doubt. Was love enough? Could devotion outpace time? This led to a frantic effort to recover what was slipping away. George became the model romantic: surprise getaways, handwritten notes, breakfasts in bed. He leaned into sentiment. He hoped nostalgia would do what words couldn't. But love, it turns out, is not just about gestures. It's about alignment, of values, of futures. And sometimes, no matter how much two people care, their paths begin to fork. Their relocation to France, meant as a fresh start, became symbolic. Amid Provence's lavender fields, they grew further apart. Amal immersed herself in international law and humanitarian missions. George tried to catch up, but the more he reached, the more distant she felt. Even in paradise, silence echoed louder than laughter. And in that silence, the inevitable truth emerged. The bond that once defined them was now fraying beyond repair. Yet George didn't surrender easily. He took the heartbreak and turned it inward, not into self-pity, but into reflection. He began mentoring younger actors, investing more time in causes Amal cared about. He pivoted from leading man to legacy builder. His new financial strategy is centered on legacy trusts and philanthropic ventures, creating scholarship funds, disaster relief donations, and art endowments. His wealth is now not just for status, for impact. Success isn't measured by red carpets or magazine covers. It's measured by what you build when the spotlight dims. For George Clooney, losing Amal wasn't just a personal failure. It was the price of misalignment in a world that demands constant evolution. His story is a cautionary tale for anyone chasing success at the expense of self-awareness. Woo, what a journey, right? If this story blew your mind, drop a comment, hit like, and subscribe for more Hollywood deep dives. Because even legends like Clooney have secrets.